Are you looking to implement AI into your business? Our expert today explores the secrets of AI so you don't get left behind. Now, Jeff Macpherson started building chatbots around 7 years ago. He built the first Instagram chatbot that actually got stolen by Facebook. At the time of that, they had 500 million followers across the platform. Since then, he has launched 2 successful NFT projects, becoming the #3 creator on crypto.com. He then started xgency.ai, which is a large-scale AI agency that helps businesses stay ahead of the ever-changing marketplace. And part of reading the intro is we learned that you built the first Instagram chat and it kind of got taken and stolen by Facebook, you could say. So please explain that story. I think everybody is super interested in that story. If you could just dive right in.
It was my first real crack at developing software. So I'm not an engineer myself, but every business that I've had from the age of 21, I'm 31 now, so 10 years, amazing how time flies. Each business I've always solved the problem from the one before, it seemed. So to kind of give you some context, one of my first businesses was an e-commerce product where I actually had manufacturers overseas where I've made cell phone cases. I didn't once I got the product in, I didn't do drop shipping. I actually had molds, everything made. When I got all the product in, I didn't have a marketing budget, so I really had to get into the organic side. So I got really good at doing viral marketing, organic marketing on Instagram. The big problem with that, one that I realized after selling that company, is keeping up with the demand through direct messaging. It was a real change in the way people marketed. Influencers were really coming up. Creators are really getting a hold of the platform as well. So I created a software that actually helped manage the conversation through automation. In that time, we ended up building the platform to an accumulated amount of over 500 million followers, approximately. We were working with some pretty large brands. We were third party to the platform, but we were in communications with Facebook to essentially become the official partners to them and be one of the first platforms on Instagram. There's a platform out there called ManyChat, and we were essentially just modeling the same business model that they had. In the time, there was the election going on. So like there's all these privacy scandals and stuff like this.
What year is this, by the way, to give some context?
What was it, 4 years ago now?
Okay,
4 years ago now?
2020?
2020. I think that makes sense to the election. I don't really remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right. 2020 to 2016. Yeah, you're right.
So 2020. So like there was all that stuff going on as well. So again, we tried to stay in contact with them, but at the end of the day, they ended up shutting us down and launching it with some of their other partners that they already had with ManyChat. Again, it was a really unfortunate situation, but it did teach us a lot in developing software, how to develop it, working with and against some of the big platforms like Facebook and these big tech companies, and how to kind of position yourself for not being as vulnerable. It was a really, really big learning experience, but yeah, I mean, it was a really cool business at the time.
Yeah, was the plan to like white label it? Like, were they basically going to just brand it under the Facebook, Instagram name using your software technology?
Well, we ran off their technology. It was like we were just building up the customer base and using essentially Facebook's messaging technology. It wasn't on Instagram yet. So the automated messaging was already on WhatsApp, was already on Facebook. And there's a few other platforms that aren't even a part of Facebook. So just knowing the markets, is like, it's going to come to Instagram. That's where my network was. That's where all my businesses were. So it's like, I'm just going to build the biggest one on Instagram, hoping at the time that Facebook or these other companies acquire you, or you get that partnership aspect to be able to continue to build underneath your own brand.
Yeah. So you said you ended up selling a company. You said you started a company. Was it 2012, 13 when you started that company, that first company?
Yeah, approximately. Because it was right after. So I went to play varsity hockey, typical Canadian. And so I left school. I dropped out after my first year. So I went when I was 20, and then dropped out 21, worked for a little bit, and then started my first e-commerce business. Yeah.
Cool. So you ran that. When did you end up selling that company? Just try and give a timeline for the audience. So you started that company, what, 2000, what, 12, 13, and then built it.
2013. And there's approximately 2 years of building that company, 2.5 years. From the big problem with that one is more phone cases fit more models now, but at the time, Samsung and iPhones, like there were just so many different models coming out multiple times a year. And each phone case, I needed to have a new mold created and at the manufacturers. So it's really, really hard to keep up with the actual demand itself. So I ended up, again, just getting rid of that company and then getting into kind of the understanding of technology and software, because I preferred that than the actual hard goods. I built some other like small nitty gritty softwares and just kind of messing around. And then that's when it slowly transitioned into the Instagram chatbot.
Well, let me ask you. So we also got some clarification there that you're currently or was the number 3 creator on crypto.com. Are you currently number 3 creator?
We were. So that, yeah, that was the beginning. That was almost 2 years ago now too. Yeah, time flies. So in the transition after the Instagram chatbot incident, we were running a dev shop. So it's like we were building apps and software for other people. A friend of mine came to me and said, "Hey, I know you got a development team. I've got this project that we're going to be launching on crypto.com. I know that you've got experience in organic marketing and viral marketing. Do you want to be a part of it?" So he hired me as a contractor, and we put together the whole project, helped with the whole marketing strategy. He was the brains behind like the lore story and everything there. But we ended up selling 2 projects out across 14 days, which is 15,000 pieces, completely organic through Twitter.
Wow. Through Twitter,
Yeah,
really?
Twitter and Twitter alone. Yeah, that was the only thing that we marketed on. We didn't spend $1 in advertising, and we had really good success with it. We had big ambitions to build a platform. The big thing that we noticed in the crypto and NFT market was everybody kind of has a dream to build some sort of game or some sort of utility that their communities is going to have the best. The problem with it is most people didn't actually have the resources to be able to build it. We had the team, the expertise, and the know how to do it. But the problem with like the scandals again, and just like the markets crashing, capital ran out relatively quickly. But the platform was each project on crypto.com was going to be able to gain access into our platform and earn and play, so their teams didn't have to actually build their own utility. So we were building kind of like essentially like an app store for all NFT projects.
And that was kind of the downfall, I think, what, if you might agree with me, is that there wasn't utility for a lot of these projects that were being built. It was kind of like a one of one of, but what's it tied to, right? Like what is
Yeah, and that was the big thing, and that's why we wanted to create like community driven, but across multiple projects. Like all the projects could come together, could play against each other, could play with each other, and then in time, as you build up the foundation of the whole thing, it's like you could put in some sort of earning mechanics. Again, we want to be super careful about how you earned, because I mean the token world and cryptocurrency, it can be, I mean, you don't want to get into that financial mumbo jumbo that a lot of people get themselves into.
we've seen some issues over the last couple of years for sure.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. And, diving into your background, you're an expert at marketing. I mean, just the last 10, 15 years, you've done all these, types of things. It's very clear that you're an expert at marketing. I think before we dive into your company, to give the audience really just some, I guess you could say, wisdom right here for them. What was the most, like, in all the brands you built, what's the most common mistake you see with new brands as they're building? What's the most common mistake?
We see it a lot. As I see it a lot in software, is people wait for a perfected product before launching it. It's the biggest mistake we all run into. Instead of just launching and letting your consumers tell you what they actually don't like. Like one big thing when we consult, we help projects now or software companies is instead of trying to build a product that you believe they want, launch it and let them tell you what they actually need. Because a lot of the time, it's like, even with like a physical good or whatever it may be, it's like you're not going to know the feedback until you actually get it out there into people's hands and they can work it. It's like on the software side, we launch things really, really ugly and really, really broken, because it just gives us the ability to stay close and keep that customer feedback loop really close. A lot of the time we launch in an agency model first as well, because you can charge a bit more. You can use the customer's money to be able to fund the actual development cycle itself, instead of, again, trying to put together this amazing roadmap, raising capital, building the whole thing, and then your customer's only using one feature that could have cost you a fraction of the price.
That's super smart. I'm seeing that common model where you start an agency, you either build the capital from selling your agency and you have the capital to actually go for, because kind of what we talked about in even our last guest, it's like I'm all for going for the big dream, but if you don't have the capital these days to do it, it's hard to raise, $500,000, $1 million without any sort of revenue. It's almost
And the big thing with how fast the world is, and like especially with AI now, things change within 4 to 6 months, if not quicker. So something that you think you want in 12 months could be here in 4 months, and some could build it. So it's like when we're building now, it's like we try not to build anything custom. We try to leverage as many partnership tools as possible and get them centralized into our platform. So it's like we're selling more of a management and a convenience company than an actual SaaS platform anymore.
Yeah. I want to get into now your company. Tell me about kind of the different, we'll go, obviously there's a lot of things we can hit here, but go into kind of your premier service offerings and then really what you saw in the marketplace that you were like, all right, we have to start this agency. There's no other option.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're an agency aspect right now. We're moving away from that, where it's more of like a business as a service. So again, really, really getting into a platform or a SaaS. But our core offering is we help implement AI into businesses. So we bring enterprise level AI to small and medium sized businesses. We have all the resources, all the tools, like I was saying. The big thing with AI, what we notice is one, we become fractional chief AI officers for your businesses, which is the most important. We've got a whole team that becomes that fractional chief AI officer. We have all the tools and all the partnerships for the tools that you actually need. We set them up for you so your team doesn't have to learn them. And then the most important thing is all AI runs off data or your company information. So we train all the AI in one centralized platform to run off your data and your data only.
Wow. So how long have you been building this company? How long have you been building this?
My business partner and I came together just over a year ago, about a year ago now. He's an AI influencer. It's Matt Farmer AI, which I think you've seen. So he's been reviewing new AI tools almost every single day for over a year now. And then again, I've been in kind of the conversational AI space for a handful of years. I met him because he used to run the paid advertising for my first software company that got taken by Facebook. So when we came together, it's like I was doing one thing and he was doing another, and there was just a lot of overlap. And then with my expertise in building software companies in the past, we just kind of brought the uniqueness together. But his influence gives us a real competitive advantage to competitors that are out there because we get early access to tools, we get competitive pricing, we get early access before anybody else, which again is the most important. And we build the platform in a way where if for some reason a tool goes down, let's say like an AI caller, there's been a handful of AI callers that have been out there over the last even 6 months. If for some reason one goes down or gets shut down or another one pops up, we can unplug that vendor and plug in the new one, and nothing changes. We make the business very modular as well, which is the most important thing because a lot of businesses go in and they start using a tool, then a new one comes cheaper, better, faster, whatever it may be, or it gets run over by one of the big tech giants and it's no longer a platform. So then the company has to start new, learn new, all that fun stuff. So we save them a lot of time in that aspect.
The adaptability, being able to have a business, because basically when you start a lot of these softwares, your business is committing. Like your job is to run your business. So what y'all are doing is streamline that process. If there's something new coming in there, you guys are coming in and basically saving the day for them.
Yeah, typically we look at three different pillars of a business. There's the demand side of your business, then there's the fulfillment side of your business, then there's your internal organization. It's like AI can help solve all of them, but we do it in a 3 phase process. It's like every business wants more revenue. I mean, that's just how businesses work. So we help set AI up for the demand side, whether it's your content creation, whether it's your speed to lead, whether it's AI callers, grading your leads, all that fun stuff right through the funnel. And then from there, once we know we can increase your sales in your customer base, then we go and we set up AI for your fulfillment to be able to solve for the demand we've created. And then once we've done that, then we help organize your whole internal team so it can scale without having to hire more people.
You mentioned something interesting. You mentioned the partnership with Matt. Kind of made perfect sense because he's basically leveraging his platform, his audience through content creation. I have a really interesting question that I'm curious about that you would be the exact person to talk to about this. So, looking forward, we're jumping ahead a little bit. We're going to keep on the company soon, but are AI avatars, are they going to eliminate the need for content creators in the future? I think that is my big question. Are they going to eliminate?
Funny enough, Matt's been working on AI avatar training for our customers right now. It's it's going to come to a point where it is going to replace an aspect of them. I mean, AI avatars are already being created for there's AI girlfriends out there, let's say, platform. So like there's going to be aspects where you're not going to need a real human to do content. It's like if we could take some big celebrity and turn them into an AI avatar, and we could do more work with them, or they could do more work because they're not in one specific spot. A lot of the time we get issues with like trying to record content for more offers that a business is launching. Like there's only so much time in a day. So I do think in time, AI avatars, when they get good enough, they're going to be able to replace people. And I think the people who adopt them first are going to have just a massive competitive advantage over their competitors.
Wow, just the ability to churn content at such a rapid rate. Just to dive real quickly into that, you've had a use case for this, right? You've worked with businesses implementing this. What are you seeing from those businesses that are actually implementing AI avatars into their business?
But some of them, it's just like the breath of fresh air. It's like they don't have to record content anymore. A lot of this stuff on social media, it's not as good, but through your funnel and through your marketing campaigns, once somebody's on your website, 80% of the people, I would say, wouldn't even know the difference when it's set up and trained properly. So, I mean, when somebody works with us, the big problem with it is like for business, we need to set up, they need to train their avatar and like the movements and stuff like that. And then they need enough voice training that we can train on top of it. So it's like we have to put two components together. So if a business or an individual doesn't have the resources to do the proper like physical training of the avatar, it can look really robotic. And that's kind of where the issue is. There's still some human capital that needs to be put in the beginning so we can train the avatar properly so it is scalable. So that's the only disconnect right now. It does take quite a bit of training to get it to the point where 80% of the people don't even know that it's an AI avatar.
Well, I think well worth it, even investing days, weeks in order to have something that you can enter a prompt and it can spit out something that, acts like you, it talks like you. I mean, the power of that is incredible. And I'm just excited to see where it goes. It's very exciting.
The next phase of it is scripting these avatars as well. Like it's not just going to read like you would or understand a perfect script. Like you need to be able to talk to it in a way where it writes a script and reads it properly, that it's entertaining. So there's three aspects technically to an AI avatar, and this is why it hasn't been cracked on the masses yet, because you need to train the individual, the physical aspect, the voice aspect, then the actual script aspect. So there's three parts of the whole thing. Then when it gets done, it's like you still need to do the quality assurance and the editing if you want to have like pop-ups and stuff like this. To have all the tools come together, it's like if you don't have an understanding of what that final outcome is, it can be extremely difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Going back to your company, xgency.ai, how long, how do you kind of stay relevant over time? Because there's obviously going to be a lot of competitors that are building these agencies. You mentioned this, which is really, I didn't know this, but you're actually launching now like maybe a SaaS product you're kind of building with this. How do you kind of separate yourself from the competition and stay relevant over time these next few years?
It's one of those things you try not to think about it as much as possible. Just stay in your lane, just keep doing what you're doing because you only can move so fast with the resources that you have. It's doing your best to stay two steps ahead of the people with money. The good thing about AI is when you get yourself to a point, and this is where you see a lot of the big LLMs, the large language models, or like these content generation platforms. Once you have so much activity on your platform, even people with large amounts of money, struggle to keep up because AI continues to learn on itself. It's not like your typical SaaS model where it's like my old software company that got taken. Somebody could have just built the thing with a whole bunch of money and they'd be at the same spot. Mine is just the customer base. But with AI, the actual learning behind the knowledge, that's what takes a lot of data points and can be very expensive. So as long as you can stay ahead of the learning aspect, it will keep you ahead of your competitors.
I think that what you just mentioned is super important because there's a lot of founders. I can never compete with Google and Facebook and all that. But I guess if you pick a really niche lane and do building some type of AI product, you can stay ahead if you're constantly doing that fast and they are, and you're putting all your eggs in kind of that basket. Would you say that's fair?
But 100%. Like again, it's like we kind of Matt explains as like a shotgun approach. It's like you're kind of building multiple things at once, but with one intention and goal. It's like just focusing on that. I mean, we've tried a few different things, and like some work, some don't work. So again, you've got to be open to adapting, but still, as long as you have the same vision, then yeah, like usually that's where it works out.
Yeah. So in terms of the market, where do you see the market kind of going with this? Like how much bigger is this market for businesses incorporating AI? Because I still feel like we're at the very beginning of this because there's a lot of businesses, you say AI and they're still kind of nervous. They don't really know, or is it robots taking over? Like there's still owners like that. So how much bigger is this market going to get in the next 5 to 10 years, this space?
We believe that within the next 7 years, it's going to be fully autonomized. So it's like, I don't even think there's 10 years left. And then businesses at that point, I mean, it's just, who knows?
Expand on that. What do you mean by
Like
autonomous?
fully, like there's going to be like solopreneurs that will be able to run a full multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar company. Some of the like the co-founders of like ChatGPT and like Claude and like all these big LLMs, they have a bet on when the first solopreneur billionaire is going to be by using AI. AI is going to be able to run all your departments better than a human can on its own. So it's like it's amazing how fast it's moving. We're predicting around 7 years. So it's like the market's untouched right now, but it's gonna at some point it's gonna like really teeter totter to the side. Where it's like if you don't adapt, you're gonna be obsolete.
Wow. There's been two founders on here that have basically talked about the idea that they're building these AI models. For the one was starting a bank, and I think that was relevant because he basically was like, I'm going to start a whole bank using AI and you're not going to need humans. And so you're reiterating that fact that that's a reality in the next seven. I mean, that could be a true thing in the next.
It really is. Like when we work with any business, excuse me, sorry. When we work with any business, it's like we're not here to replace the people because AI is not good enough to replace people right now. There's aspects that it can replace people, especially when it's like a 2-minute job, copy paste. But we're here to help enhance the human output that can be done, so you could bring more business in, if that makes sense. So it's like
Maybe I know what are you saying like focus like it's let's say 7 years the business is fully autonomous. You're still basically the product itself can be ran fully by the AI, but there's still gonna be people that need to market and sell it and generate
no,
leads.
because in 7 years it's going to do it all. Like we're expecting to have our platform do that in the next 3 years. So it's like your marketing department is going to be able to communicate with your sales department, which is going to be able to communicate with your customer support. And then from there, it's like based on your customer support, it's going to create marketing campaigns based on the support questions, then change your product. Like it's gonna start doing all that stuff between the departments because it's going to be able to predict what's next.
So if everything's, I get sorry, my brain, I don't know if the audience out there is kind of exploding, but um, so what will businesses look like? Well, like if you have all these businesses that are ran by a single person, is it going to be where these just very minute people have all this wealth and then no one else is working? You're like, what's happening?
The the middle class is going to start changing to lower class and upper class, and there's going to be hardly a middle class just because there's only going to be like, who even knows what lower class becomes sometime, because we believe at some point where AI is going to be able to do the job of a human better, faster, all the time.
Okay, that's your Instagram clip right there. No, that's Wow, because I knew it was coming. I think I've had discussions with just family members and all this stuff, and it's like it's definitely coming. I didn't realize so soon these predictions. You're in the space, you're going to know that. Well, let's kind of segue back to the company. That's wow. So, um, kind of talk about just with your current company, kind of you mentioned this one client that had success with AI Avatar, but what are some of the client success stories that you've had working with your agency? What is before and what is after it's like working with your company?
Um, a lot of the stuff that we're seeing in the early days is the demand side. So it's like we've got pretty flushed out systems where it's like, again, helping you generate more leads faster with less people. So it's like whether that's creating more content, again, that could include an AI avatar, or we've had cases where like an AI static image of your product actually converts better than like somebody taking the photo. So you could actually get more product pictures out. So like that's step one in your demand aspect. From there, it's like um, when people go to your website or to your funnel or wherever people go next, it's like split testing based on the personalized aspect of them coming through. So some people will read things better, some people will watch things better. So again, in time, AI is going to be able to personalize your experience as you're onboarding. When you go through like an opt-in page, whether like you give somebody your email, phone number, your full name, all that stuff. It's like AI will be able to call you and get more questions from you or see if you have more questions, booking calls. From there, it's like then it can go to a salesperson. And then when a salesperson closes it, then AI can actually onboard the person into your business. Like those are some really basic use cases. But from the time that somebody sees your ad on social media to the time that they're actually working with your business, almost 80-90% of it can be AI.
Wow, just through that process. And for your company specifically, like what is the roadmap for you guys? What do y'all expect in the next 2 years as a company? And then like where do you expect to be in 4 and 6 years? Because just with this your roadmap you have of the future, where do you guys fit into that? And where is your company going to be next year and the year after? And
So we're finding ourselves in the middle market right now. So that you see there's like your AI gurus, whatever you want to call them, people who teach you about AI, but they don't really know much about it. You've got your marketing agencies who use platforms like Zapier or Make.com, which Make.com is a great platform. Then you've got like your high end consultants where they're more the chief AI officers, but that's all they do. And they work more with enterprise businesses because enterprise businesses already have like an integration team or a data team or something like that. And where we're falling is right in between, where we don't use the no code, low code. We connect directly into your data source, into your company. We become your chief AI officer. So it's like we have a scalable team. Again, that's where that platform comes in. We're running it, like I said, as an agency right now. But as we start building out our own technologies and our own systems, we're going to start automating our own business using what they call agents. Those agents in time will be able to sell to our customers. Then the agents will start working for our customers' companies. And then from there, that's when you have the full autonomous marketing department, customer success, finance, whatever it may, all those departments, agents will slowly start like speaking to each other and solving all the issues for you 24/7.
yeah, so I just had a lecture on AI agents a couple weeks ago to really gauge what it was. Could you explain to the audience what an AI agent is, base level?
I mean, base level, it's basically a virtual assistant that knows more about your business and the processes than you do. And it just does the job for you 24/7. It's just a virtual human essentially that does the task.
And isn't it tailored to you can have these agents trained on certain specific tasks, like you said, a sales one, a marketing one, then they can communicate
Correct.
with
Yeah.
each
So
other.
you would train an agent on like your marketing department. But it's like so we're building the agents to learn off like the best marketing practices across all of our customers. So that's what's going to give us our competitive advantage is the more customers that we have, the smarter our agents get, the faster business will be able to grow on our platform than anybody else's because
Yeah,
we
it's
because we
right,
have the agents trained on all the tool sets and all the processes that we
right.
work with our customers.
The value here is the data because whoever has as much data as possible, it can train faster, is what you're saying. So the more data you collect, the more you can separate yourself from everybody else for the people to kind of take off piece of your pie.
Yeah, so we don't train on companies' data. Like if you use ChatGPT or any of these other platforms, they essentially train on your data. We put your data in your own infrastructure or your own warehouse, is what they call it, a data warehouse. It's like we plug the tools into it, but we don't train on your data. That's owned by you, which is the most valuable thing your company can focus on right now for the reasons that you're saying. But what we train on is like the agents and the processes across them all. So it's like our AI is more the processes than the actual data itself.
So when they work with you, you're essentially separating them. They're not like all their data isn't mixed with all these other companies. Everybody's data is separated, but you're using that information to then train your AIs better, so then the different spots could get better informed.
So like so then everybody's data is safe. It's like if you have a phone company and then like a um, online coaching company, it's like their data is completely different. It's like AI, the information is going to be trained differently. You want to keep them separate. Like that's why like ChatGPT, it's like if you type in one thing one time and then you type it in basically the exact same way, it'll kind of give you a different response. Our goal is not to have that for your business. It's the continued reputation. And it's like then the process is like I was saying, just like a human running a marketing campaign or how to answer an actual message itself or how to set up again a marketing campaign, whatever it may be. That's where the agents are trained, and that's like the AI side that we're building with our IP. That we're going to know based off all of our customers that this is the best the way to set up a marketing campaign. Then we use the company's data to be able to launch the campaign itself.
That makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have a question on potentially the negative side of things. So we're talking about having all this data, AI is getting more sophisticated. How let's say if AI gets to a point, and it is going to be where it's it can run all these tasks and all these things like that. How are you going to protect data breaches? Because can't you use AI to then harm a company, like break in, or how do you protect against itself? I guess what you're
Yeah, and this is another big thing because you're absolutely right. So this is another reason that we don't want to own companies' data because then you can be liable for those data breaches. So it's like when a company is going to onboard with us, we'll have processes in place where they still have to set up that piece, and then we can connect it all. So we're not the ones liable if for some reason their data warehouse is breached. Again, there's going to be more legality in there. That's out of my pay grade for sure. But it's most definitely the security side because how important the data is going to be for us. Because I mean, I've been down the route of the black hat people trying to hack your systems and take or shut down whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I mean they're always going to be out there. So I think for what you're doing, have all this data. That's good that you clarified that. I was curious. So again, your background's marketing. How are you marketing this company? Like, how are you getting the word out there currently and bringing more?
I mean, 10 years of building a network, really. A lot of it's word of mouth right now, partnerships, stuff like that. We're just in the process of launching our own marketing campaigns, which is going to be good. Speaking events, Matt's. We haven't even actually really used the social media aspect of Matt's following, which is great because when we do turn that on, we're going to have a lot of success with it. But typically, right now, it's just word of mouth just because it is that agency world. We only can take, we're really looking for specific businesses that we can get things done and done properly. And then as we continue to grow, that's where we'll continue to work on different sorts of marketing campaigns.
I mean, it sounds like too. While you have a great product now, you're perfecting and refining the product. So when it's ready, then you can announce it. I don't want to say to the world because there's obviously these clients you're taking care of, but with Matt's audience then introduced, and then everybody's like, "Whoa, this is so far along than we thought."
And like because we're bringing, like I mentioned in the beginning, the enterprise AI, what these big enterprise companies are using to small and medium sized businesses for a fraction of the cost because we have the whole team to be able to do it at that scale. But we also don't want to just pigeonhole ourselves into one market when we do launch. It's like we want to have our own ladder where it's like somebody can come in for a really minimal amount, get something from us based on the learnings that we've had over the last 6, 8, 12 months. And then, okay, so it's like if your business can only do this much right now, utilize that, have some success, and then come back for the next level. so on and so forth. So we're creating our own ladder for businesses at every level, but we're really at scale. We're really going to be focusing at that medium-sized business.
And then slowly basically taking them from medium to scaling them like crazy.
Where like medium's the biggest market because because they know they need it, but a lot of them don't know they don't know how to set it up, and if they do know how to set it up, they don't set it up properly. That's the big thing. The small businesses, you're kind of hit and miss with. They don't necessarily have a big enough business to really utilize it at the scale. And then when you get into that enterprise, that's when you can fall into is like you need a lot more custom stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, because they have the resource, the capital, and so now it's like, well, we can build that ourselves. Well, you could, but we all, you know what I'm saying? That's when you start getting those questions and that. Yeah. So as the company grows and more revenue comes in, you start literally when I raised money for a company, my investor called it building your bank, like building your bank up. So where is that money going to be allocating? Are you going to be allocating more to building this, automating system, the product? Are you going to be dumping it more into marketing? Are you hiring people? Where do you see yourself allocating funds as you grow?
Mostly all of our capital is going to go into hiring just the best talent out there, paying the premium that you're going to get to be able to acquire these people. We're going to get into growth by acquisition. What that means is just like buying businesses that we believe there's a piece of technology, or there's a team, or there's something unique to that business that can help us grow faster. In time as well as like looking to invest into other AI companies that can be beneficial to our platform itself. And then the marketing side, we're really confident that we're not going to, like you can always spend more money on marketing, but how we think of marketing is we get the front end offer. So again, like your first purchase or two, even if it's at $5 and you can get it upwards to $50 per customer, we know that if we're spending $1 and we make $1.50 back, that all you have to do is just spend more money. So if you can get that figured out, you can actually just go and borrow money or get a loan for X amount, saying, hey, we're just going to spend $500,000 over the next 6 months on marketing. It's like we're going to spend 100% on it and get a 1.5 return on it. It just makes sense.
Yeah. Is your plan, it's kind of looking forward, is your plan going to go the raise route, or are you really trying to self-fund and just use the funds to then reinvest back in the company?
We want to raise properly because we're in a very unique position. We're looking to bring in about a syndicate of investment. So a handful of people that can be advisors and potentially be on the board as well. So because like if we raise, call it $2 million, and the resources that we brought on could bring an additional 2 million just because of connections. It's a better raise. You don't have to give up as much to the company instead of just going and raising money, and then you still have to go and pay for all the resources anyways.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And from that, are you looking to raise shortly, or is this something years out? Just to
No, yes, we're already in the process of doing it. So the way that we always try and look at it is always be exit ready instead of just being ready to raise, be ready to sell. Because if you're ready to sell, you're ready to raise, and always do it in advance. So it's like, do we need to raise right now? No, but we're already preparing for it, because like if you're trying to set up for a raise, then you're usually behind 6 months. So again, we're in a good spot in that sense, but always just trying to stay ahead of it. Again, the 2 steps ahead, like I was saying before, and then again, just kind of positioning it in a way it was like not necessarily looking for capital, but always being ready to sell the company if the price is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me ask about Matt and kind of y'all's relationship. So how did you meet Matt? You talked a little bit about it, but kind of go into the relationship with Matt, and what is his role versus your role in the company?
So I met him. He was at his past marketing agency that he sold almost 2 years ago now. His agency there, he ran all the paid advertising for my software company, the one that got shut down by Facebook. So that's where we first met. We stayed in touch over the years, but nothing crazy. And at the beginning of last year, I reached out just for some marketing advice, whatever he was doing. And that's kind of how we stuck together. We have a very unique story that, uh, both of our past business partner was the same person. So we have a relationship with that. So when we came together, it's like we want to make sure that this relationship is above board. Like we're super open to each other. It's like there's nothing hitting. Not like the past relationship was bad, but again, it's just like you always learn from the past relationships, which brought us closer a lot faster. In terms of the company role, we're wearing a lot of hats that we shouldn't be right now. He's in the visionary role. It's like, so he's always doing research on new tools. Again, he's doing this content side. He's going to be his main role as we continue to grow is content education, whether it's either online or in like presentations, speaking events. He works with our AI team to kind of brainstorm and prototype different ideas and how the markets are changing and stuff like that. That's where he really is. I'm more in the integration role. And as we grow, I'll deal with again the speaking gigs, the podcasts like this, partnership aspects. That's kind of where I'll come in to the whole thing. So it's like similar, but I basically take his vision and push it throughout the team because we've got an amazing leadership team that's able to distribute it to the team members in the department.
It sounds like an operations officer. You're basically implementing the dreams and visions of each other into the actual core business.
And there's different levels to this because I'm not a perfect operational officer. I'm really not. It's not my expertise, but you do it because you need to. I'm really good at the relationship side, the events, the sales, and the partnerships. That's where because I can see a vision and know how to put it in front of a consumer so they buy it. That's what I'm really good at, and that's what I like to do. It's like I was talking to my CTO this morning because Matt and I were up at 4 o'clock and we were working on a new marketing campaign. It's like marketing and that side of the sales business and your consumers and your partnership, it's like a puzzle. So it's like you're always solving a puzzle, and the quicker you can build the puzzle, the quicker it comes together, which is nice for everybody. And that's what I really like.
And marketing changes so quick too. Like what worked 6 months ago, a year ago, doesn't work today, and that's why it's so kind of fun. That's why it's really fun to learn. If for people out there, a lot of my audience that I'm building is young startup founders who the biggest thing I've seen a lot of them lack is they have great technological minds, but they don't know how to market their product. So where would you go to recommend to learn truly how to market? You obviously have been with these experience, but how can you learn how to market?
So we were watching training this morning. Uh, can't remember the name of it. Um, damn, can't remember the name of the actual course itself. But what they always teach, and it's funny to say, but the porn industry is always light years ahead in the marketing side. Always, they always are. For example, and this is literally in their training. You know, when you go to like YouTube, they have like the 3 second 3 second thumbnail. So YouTube introduced that a handful of years ago. I don't remember the actual date as well. It's like the porn industry introduced that years before that because it's a preview to what the actual content's delivered
Like when you hover over and it shows those. Yeah.
when you hover over it. Other aspects is like how you like content distribution in a free aspect to get people to a paid premium or paid membership. They've been doing that for years. Since like even like the OnlyFans side, it's like having people in a payment gateway. It's like they were one of the first to be able to do that. Like the as much as it sounds funny, it's true when you really look at the macro of how they position their marketing to get people through the processes to spend money on essentially the industry that they're in. That's like a very it's a funny example, but if you're a technical mind, the only other thing I can suggest is find somebody who is a marketer. We work with a company called EOS. You can see the book there in the back. Um, it's an operating system kind of framework, but what they talk about is right people, right seat. So it's like the quicker you can find the right people for your company that buys into your core values and like your core vision and stuff like that, and then find the right seat for them, a seat being like a role in the company where every day they love what they're doing. If you can find those people, your business is going to grow almost every time.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, how after 7 years, if this prediction's correct, how do you provide value if you have a tool that can be? I mean, how do you provide value at all? Like, how? You know, like is a starting a business or I don't like, how do you provide value, you know?
Because there's going to be aspects of it. There's going to be like the platforms like ours that are going to come up before businesses are fully autonomous. So like individuals who, let's say, want to work with cupcake shops across North America. It's like they're going to understand how cupcake shops work. So one individual is going to be able to come to a platform like ours, whether it's ours or other competitors as they grow, set up perfect systems for a cupcake shop, and they could be the best chief AI officer for cupcake shops across North America.
Yep, that's what I'm saying though. I mean, if the system knows what's best, I mean, I could get in the cupcake business and not really have a, have to know anything about it. So like, where do you see what I'm saying? Like, who is it? Just people who say, "All right, I'm gonna start this business," and then just who does it first with capital? Like,
Yeah, yeah, and it's the people in the beginning with capital are going to win first. That's just obvious. But then the second adopters are going to have a chance, and if they don't, then we don't believe there's going to be little to anything left.
wow. But there's always, don't you say like the physical, like someone's always gonna have to cut your grass and stuff like that. But I mean, you're saying eventually there'll be physical forms of technology to do that.
I mean, there's tractors and stuff in big farmers' fields that don't have people in them.
Sure.
I mean, like it's
Yeah,
one of
no,
those
I'm
things that's like,
asking, I'm
no,
curious.
I say, I don't, I truly don't know. It's like we have our predictions. It's like there's going to be, but there's also because okay, so cutting your grass, it's like yeah, but there's people who are building humanoid robots. We're going to do that for you.
Yeah, and if you implement that
Yeah,
into
because
your
you're going to be able
tool,
to, because this is kind of the next phase that we're going to go in. Like depending on what happens with X agency,
mm,
it's like we'll go as the technology expands in the humanoids. It's like people are going to buy robots and rent them out like cars. Like, hey, I have a robot, but you need
cool.
it to cut your grass. I'll lease it
Yeah,
to you every single month. But then it's just now it's a real estate, like it's a piece of real estate.
yeah, it's an asset.
So it's an asset. It's literally an asset. So it's like I could just like a cleaning person or like somebody who does maintenance or like stuff like
Yeah,
that. You could literally lease these robots out for a fraction of the cost, but not having to have all the benefits and pensions and all that stuff that come with
yeah.
it. And they'll do the work and they'll do it 24/7.
But let's say if you got to a point where that in society where everything could be automated, there wouldn't really be a poor class and a middle class? Because if you could, create this technology that could have an endless food supply or whatever, it could supply the world an endless water supply, then you get to a point where really, I mean, everybody's in a pretty good spot, wouldn't they? Like the lower would be elevated. In my opinion, I mean, if you solve that problem on a,
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be problems because
yeah,
there's still going to be people involved in some sort of um, decision, whether it's at the top, the government. There's always going to be something, so there's always
yeah,
going to be issues. It's just what's going to move the most money. That's real. That's real. It always comes down to money.
to money. Yeah.
It always does.
Well, I might actually leave this in because I had some more good stuff. So, well, again, I appreciate your time. I'll let you go. I know you're busy, but yeah, let's stay in touch. Let's stay connected and keep me updated how you're going. Maybe we can do a follow up in 6 months and just see where you're at.
It'd be cool. Yeah, I mean, we're down. I mean, you've got us in the Discord there, so if you've got questions, I mean, reach out. We're happy to help.